Hello and welcome to Follow Everton. This is a mini match preview for Aston Villa versus Everton. The Toffees are looking to continue their Carabao Cup adventure by picking up a win against the Midlands club. And Aston Villa have just come off the back of beating Chelsea 1-0 away at Stamford Bridge. I'm not sure how much of a feat that is these days, but Villa, generally in really good form, have already dispatched us convincingly once this season at Villa Park. But Everton also come back on their first win of the season away at Brentford, a 3-1 win. Obviously, we taking the lead. Brentford equalised, and we managed to show the character in the team to go on and actually win that game 3-1 in a very, very convincing performance. Now, of course, with the club's perilous position on the pitch and on financially, Premier League status is, of course, the most important thing. And it is disappointing that we've gone from perhaps 5, 10 years ago, desperate for a cup, and really that being highlighted as the major issue, not winning anything for so long. But now it's a real shame that actually the reality is we'll be happy just to stay in this division. And I think a lot of people will be torn here today with going for our really strong side and actually trying to go on to win this, which seems unlikely in the grand scheme of things, versus protecting the players and prioritising the league. You could argue there'll be other times for trophies, in the future if we can get to Bramley Moore in one piece and build there and come good, so to speak. But I think at the moment it's a difficult one. But just based on what Sean Dyche did in the previous round as well, I think Sean's going to go with a really strong side actually, and I'm only envisioning a couple of changes to try and freshen things up with Luton ahead of the weekend. And I think those two changes will be Nathan Patterson coming in at right back for Ashley Young, who's done better at right back than at left back. But I think just to give him some minutes and to bring some fresh legs into the team and to save Ashley for the weekend. Of course, he could put James Garner at right back and bring in someone like Dan Juma. But the reality is, I think he'll bring in Nathan Patterson. And I think the other change will be Adrissa Garner Gay into central midfield. Well, sorry, he'll drop out. Adrissa Garner Gay. Adrissa Garner Gay will drop out, I suspect, just to protect him as well ahead of the weekend, given his age. I think he's 34 now. And I think James Garner will move into midfield on that basis. I think they're the two changes. So Ashley Young out, Adrissa Garner Gay out, James Garner moved into midfield, Nathan Patterson in at right back. I know there's a couple of other options. I think the rest of the defence will stay the same, by the way. I think it'll be Mikalenko, Branthwaite, and Tarkovsky. Keep that continuity in there. Let's build some rapport and build some momentum and some solidity in that defence because it was better against Brentford. Midfield, then, this is where I still think he's going to go strong, but I think it's an opportunity to give minutes to Jack Harrison. I think he'll start the game on the right side of midfield. I also find it hard to leave Dan Juma out, but also protecting Decore. So Decore is absolutely pivotal to the side, but at the same time, with Luton in mind, I think Decore could get rested. So Dan Juma on the left side of midfield and Jack Harrison on the right side of midfield with Amadou Onana and James Garner as the midfield two. So I can see him being really strong now. As I say, Dyche, he loves Decore. You could see Decore playing in behind Beto, Chimiti, or Calvert-Lewin for this game. I think if it was a Premier League match, just because he scored the last game, I think Calvert-Lewin would start the game. Form over, whatever. I haven't got the analogy there that I need, but form really important. So Calvert-Lewin possibly would start and Beto come off the bench. Be interesting to see whether he does do the 4-4-2, which means Beto and Calvert-Lewin would both lead the line there. And they could come off at some point for Chimiti. Danjuma could have a stint up front and McNeil could come onto the wing. So you could go 4-4-2. You could put Decore in behind Beto and then bring Calvert-Lewin on and McNeil on later and move them about to give everyone some minutes. But for me, I think the main changes possibly will be James Garner into midfield for Garner Gay. Give him a breather. And Patterson at right back for Young. What would you do with this team? Let us know in the comments. Who would you go for? Would you go to a 4-4-2? Would you stick with the 4-5-1, which is successful against Brentford? Would you make any changes whatsoever? I mean, I think you have to drop Ashley Young for this. I think a 38-year-old right back, I don't think he can play 3 games in a week. So I think as a bare minimum, it'll be Young out. And he was really bad at Villa Park earlier this season. He gifted Aston Villa at least 2 of the goals. Um, so my perspective is I probably would go strong, try and build momentum. Of course, make a couple of changes, but not drastic. I don't think we can afford to do that. I think Aston Villa will possibly make changes as well, but they'll want to build momentum. They could see themselves as actually winning this trophy, so I think they'll go for it. Um, they're in a good space at the moment, Aston Villa, with wins this season against us and Chelsea. And although they had a bit of a bad spell against Newcastle, I think in general, Aston Villa fans will be delighted with the start. Very competitive, through in the Europa League as well. So, sorry, I don't know whether in the Europa League or the Conference League actually, but I think they did get through. Um, what do we need to do to try and beat Aston Villa? Well, I think we need to show that work rate, that tenacity we showed against Brentford, and I think even Jack Harrison coming in will bring that. I think he presses really well, shows fantastic energy, and I think we need to try and win the turnovers, press well, high up the pitch, squeeze up. If we're going to press, we can't sit back and leave gaps for Villa, because when we played Villa earlier in the season, they just got the ball out wide. We didn't know whether to go out with the fullback Luca Dean or Matty Cash, or whether to sit in. And what I mean by that is we kind of played very narrow, very deep. Um, just trying to recall actually. So we did try and press onto Villa, but when we did press them, they played around us, got through onto a back four, and they were very, very dangerous. And when we set off narrow and deep in 2 banks of 4, you could say, they got around the sides of us. Luca Dean in particular had a free reign from wing back. Same with Matty Cash, because we didn't know whether to go out and press the full back or leave him. But it was very, very bad tactically. It was a very bad off day. And I think we'll see now. I think Sean Dyche has got to prove to us that he's learnt his lessons from that game against Villa earlier in the season in the league, where we were hammered, making mistake after mistake after mistake. And I think cut out those mistakes. A couple of them come from throw-ins and bad passes. Cut out those mistakes. Get a natural left footer at left back, a natural right footer at right back. I think that'll make a massive difference in terms of stopping Aston Villa, because they like to play down the wings, and display that tenacity, that work rate. And when we do get the ball, we've got to be more effective than we did against Arsenal, more similar to Brentford, and get forward in numbers, but don't leave us exposed. Always have 4 or 5 players behind the ball to protect and win the turnovers, but get those players forward, whether that is Dwight McNeil, who stays in at left wing, or whether that is Dan Juma. I think, build and support the striker now. Let me know in the comments, who would you go for up front? Are you going with Calvert-Lewin, Chimiti or Beta? And would you go for a front 3? Just very quickly going to look through the comments, because I do have to go to work now. I've got PT says he's not asked about the cup. Premier League survival is very important. I can understand that point of view, Pete. Emma's saying it's a weird one. We need to make some changes, but we haven't a chance of winning. I agree, but I think we have to treat this seriously. Eugene's going with the 4-1 win for Everton. I love that, Eugene. I love that optimism, and I think we can beat Aston Villa today. I think we can do it. Emma's saying she's not sure whether she'd go with DCL and Beto if one got injured. They could get injured in any game, Emma. They could get injured in training. That's the attitude, that I think we've got to have. They could get injured at any point, and we've got to prioritise what's in front of us. But yeah, I think Dyche is going to make changes. He's going to take the game seriously, but I don't think he's going to make an awful lot of changes. I think it'll be 2 or 3. Right, I've got to go to work now. I'm driving up to Barnsley from Liverpool for a wedding, so I will see you all later. I won't be able to catch the game tonight, but I'm hoping Robbie or Dave or John or Michael Bublé or my brother David. Sorry, it's what I've got his name saved in my phone. I'm hoping Basil, as you'll know him, will be able to do the match reaction later for an Everton win away at Aston Villa. And I'm going with a 2-0 win, Beto and Calvert-Lewin with the goals. That's my mini preview. Have a lovely day, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.